Today on the channel, we've got from Transformers the movie, studio series Constructicon Scrapper on Way I Got It Figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans, Transformers fans? Way I Got It Figured back with another Transformers studio series review. This time, we're looking at the first of 5 or 6, depending on how you want to look at it, Constructicons that will be reviewed on the channel. We're looking at Scrapper. So Scrapper is the de facto leader of the Constructicons, and he's a construction engineer. Definitely one of the great favorites of old. And we've got Studio Series packaging, but it no longer says Studio Series 86. It's now just Studio Series, and it's Transformers the movie. And we're sort of in a new phase. I hesitate to call it Studio Series 86 because they've taken it off the box. So, along with the collector's numbers. So this is the first Studio Series review we'll be doing with the new packaging and therefore the new kind of way of explaining it. Got Scrapper in his power shovel mode and a nice picture of him there. Combines to form Devastator. Collect 1 of 5. The reason why it's 5, we know there's 6 Constructicons, but Long Haul and Hook come in one Commander class set, so it's 1 of 5 in that way. Yes, there's still 6 Constructicons. Looks like it just sort of continues on with some Autobot City artwork in there. Then on the back, we've got Scrapper converts in 17 steps. And I find it interesting because he does come with extra parts. He comes with the gun for Devastator, which is almost like it's set up the exact same way as the Combiner Wars one. But what I find really interesting is that Scrapper came with the chest part of Devastator to like a wing. And, a sub mode of Scrapper back in the day was you could put that wing on him and he could fly. Slowly, but he could. So, there's that. But they're switching it up this time. We're going to go roll with that. So we got Scrapper with some extra guns. We're going to get old Scrapper out of his package and check him out. We're back with Scrapper out of the package. And I forgot to mention a couple of things in the box section. One, they have his power shovel like up high in the thing because he's a Voyager class figure. And I guess they just wanted him to seem bigger in the package or whatever because he's not really that big. He's pretty small for a Voyager. What's supposedly going on with him is there's a little bit more to the engineering parts count that makes him a Voyager. People are probably complaining about that, but it is what it is. The other thing is I picked them up on Amazon.com. I usually tell you in the box section where I got it, but that's where I got them. So yeah. But he's looking pretty good. He looks like Scrapper, and he definitely is sharing kind of a lineage from the Combiner Wars version. So I no longer have my Combiner Wars Devastator. I sold it as soon as I saw this one when they did the reveal and everything. And I only have slight regrets about selling that Devastator. I kept mine in Devastator mode so that it could, battle Omega Supreme. More, not look like a midget. But ultimately, I'd rather my combiners all be sort of in the same size. And if Omega Supreme's bigger, he's just bigger. I am a big scale guy. I like scale. But some characters, we have to somewhat accept that we're never going to get them in the right scale. And I really feel like the Constructicons and the Combiners are always going to be in that gray area of whether you're going to really have them in scale or not. The Combiner Wars ones were so overly large that I decided I wanted to. The Combiner Wars figures were so overly large that I pretty much decided I didn't want them to be Constructicons because they were just too big. So I went out and I bought a Gen Bio smaller Combiner Wars Devastator set to go along with the, the one that I have, the Combiner Wars one that I had. And I even did a stop motion using both. I used the Combiner Wars Devastator and the Gen Bio Constructicons. And those guys are much smaller. In fact, we would go as far as to say they're too small. And I don't want to go too far into the whole scale thing because it eats up time in the video. But he is larger than the Scrapper, and then the when I do the comparison section, I'll certainly have that Scrapper in there. And we'll see the differences in how much better this figure is than the old ones. But yeah, there you go. So you got Scrapper's classic, more or less his classic blaster. It's meant to be that. It doesn't look exactly like it, but it's close enough, and it does support blast effects. So I'm very happy to see that. And then you've got the 2-part gun. This is the exact. It's like almost like a remold, and you stick it together, and you have Devastator's gun. And then I'm sure this is gonna accommodate blast effects more easily. More easily, but not really. So as you can see, blast effect doesn't really want to go in there. Still large. But what are you gonna do? Can't have everything. Can have some things though. There you go. And of course, the Combiner Wars Constructicons didn't even get these smaller Constructicon weapons. So that's an upgrade right there. Then looking at Scrapper, the big thing with him is going to be what's the articulation like now that he's a full-fledged figure, and he's got, the usual Transformers articulation. He has the ankle rocker, which the Combiner Wars one, in fairness, did have. But he's got a lot more rotational ability. You can bend his hands at the wrist, at the elbow, and he just poses overall better. He's always going to probably be weighted down by his power shovel to some extent. There we go. Ooh, almost had it. You can get him in a pretty decent, pretty dynamic pose there. It looks up and down to a degree enough, definitely, for stop motion to make him talk. And give him his little laser pistol. And there you go. Scrapper. So what we'll do next is get him into power shovel mode and see what we can see. All right, so we have Scrapper in his alternate mode, power shovel, and It's very similar to the Combiner Wars version in terms of how it transforms, except with some extras, with some enhancements. It's almost the same figure, just with better engineering. Some of the transformational aspects are exactly the same. It's pretty much the same figure. It does roll well, looks better. People say that these, I've seen where people say, oh, they're kind of cheap or yada yada. But honestly, I don't feel like it's cheap in hand. If they had done this in Combiner Wars, you know, we wouldn't be even probably trying to get new Constructicons. These guys are better. They're more. Um, these guys are very much individual figures, so you have a lot more to do with them as the figure itself. Whereas the other ones were only as just a barely adequate enough just to change into Devastator. Like there's no really reason to have them around. I bought extras so that I could keep the Constructicons in robot mode just so that I could have them in stop motion scenes. That's really what I bought them for. But they weren't, anything special. They were for the for the time. They're actually subpar even at that time. But Devastator was what you were buying it for. And we could probably make the same argument now, but getting them side piece by piece, you're going to have a lot more value in your Constructicons. I'm already thinking I should be getting doubles. You know, it's very expensive to get doubles of combiners though. However, I could totally see getting doubles because there's a lot more to this scrapper than there is uh, previously. But it looks good. Power shovel works, and it works exactly the same as the Combiner Wars version, except for one thing, which I've already determined is part of the Devastator transformation, even though that they don't call it out in the instructions. So he has now this locking mechanism. So if you pull out the power shovel, you can, when you go to change him into Devastator, you're going to fold this down into a little peg, and then you got this lock, and this lock is going to lock the power shovel in place. And so now Devastator's foot is formed more or less. So obviously there's going to be something with the arms. I'm not going to do the full transformation, but this is definitely a preview of how that's going to work. Now, I generally don't do comparisons of vehicle modes, but I feel like I should do it with the Gen Bio Scrapper, which is just, it's a um, one for one to the Combiner Wars version. It's just smaller. And a lot of the transformation is the same. The legs are the same. The power shovel works more or less the same. The arms are where they did the most changes, so the arms are there. The cockpit swivels the same. It's the same. It's practically the same figure, practically. But this one looks better, has better, proportions and everything like that. So there you go. So we're gonna get them transformed back and move on to comparisons. All right, for comparisons, we're going to start off with Scrapper with Jin Bio Scrapper. So again, this is a scaled down version of the Combiner Wars Scrapper, which would have been probably like taller than Optimus Prime, uh, the Combiner Wars original version. It's like massive, almost unworkable. But this one is, it's too small. I just rather have them smaller than bigger if I was going to have them um, interacting with other figures, which I guess is what you would have done back in the day when we were kids, because they were very small figures. But as you can see, this is a much more substantial figure. You can see a lot of the cues are the same, but this one is a superior figure, and obviously it should be. You got to pay $34.99 for this guy. Now we've got Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. Why'd I pick him? Because he's the original deluxe size Voyager figure, higher parts count, everything like that. With all what they've done to Scrapper, particularly in terms of his size, really, probably the size more so than the parts count, but he's got a little bit better parts count than just what you would get with a deluxe. So he's a Voyager. Yeah, he's kind of a small Voyager. What are you gonna do? There he is with Hot Rod. They're almost exactly the same height. Here we got him with Studio Series 86 Starscream. Doesn't have his stuff on. I have extra copies of this figure, so I have ones with no crowns on or whatever. Actually, what's going on is I have the crown and stuff on the actual Earthrise version, and the Studio Series 86 one acts as my normal Starscream. But as you can see, Starscream is taller. In the cartoon, though, Scrapper and them were pretty much the same height as the Seekers. But this is what I was saying earlier, that you're never really going to get these guys right, because either they're going to be too big or they're going to be a little bit too small. When it comes to combiners, they're never going to be exactly the right height. By the time they get around to doing that, I'll be 80 years old or something. And last but not least, we have Earthrise Megatron, even though I've swapped his head out for Siege Megatron to show the scale there. And it kind of works, works better, I guess, than the Combiner Wars one for sure. But there you go. That's your scale. We're going to move on now to final thoughts. Final thoughts on Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the movie, also Studio Series 86, Voyager class Scrapper. I'm gonna give it up to Hasbro. I think that they did a great job with not trying to reinvent the wheel, but giving you a much quality, compatible figure with your existing Transformers figures, with the update to Scrapper. Now we'll see how this holds up with other individual Constructicons, but I think Scrapper's a pretty good figure. I would have liked if they had given them blast effect compatibility with the Devastator gun, but it does have blast effect compatibility with his gun. So, there you go. Can't really knock them. They did something. But this figure is much more articulated, much more accurate in size, even if not 100% accurate. And, uh, you know, I have every reason to use this figure as a figure other than just as an appendage to Devastator. So I'm very good with it. That basically nets out to, I'm going to give him a 9. I got a figure rank of 9. I think he's a little better than an 8. His joints are very tight, but I don't think that it's going to change very much with the converting him back and forth to power shovel mode. And we can already kind of see where he's going to be shored up in Devastator leg mode as well. So I'm very happy to see all of these changes that they've done to Scrapper. A lot of them are understated, and I know people don't really get on well with understated changes, but these changes have made this entire package already a lot better. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. Bone Crusher will be up shortly. And of course, we've got plenty of other Transformers videos, content to do. So stay tuned. I'm going to sign off here. Till next time, everybody stay safe, happy collecting. See you on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.